to the martial artist, how did you fit your training? Like, when did you start? Like, for example, kasi ako, I knew you, everyone knew you, and ako personally, as a fan of Urbandub, I know you as the front man, pero I also know you as my friend from Jiu-Jitsu. So, how did you fit Jiu-Jitsu into everything? And when did it start? How did you meet? How did you end up in our team?
Okay. I've always heard about DefTac since the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been since I was very young.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, now it's kind of full circle for me because my son is 7 years old, and
Okay.
he loves martial arts. So parang I get to do that with him, and then I used to do that
That
also
is good.
with
That
my
is
with my dad.
okay.
Kasi I grew up doing martial arts, una karate do, and
Mm-hmm.
then when I moved, I grew up in Manila, and then karate do, and then when I went back to Cebu and was spending more time already with my dad. My dad naman grew up then with martial arts,
Mm-hmm.
judo and arnis through his
Mm-hmm.
tito and his cousins. I eventually trained with them.
Mm-hmm.
So tapos especially during the 80s and 90s, it was all about Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan,
Yeah.
and Karate Kid, di ba? Di ba?
The martial arts action films.
Di ba? It was all about martial arts. So parang then you become aware of yung mga gulo na nangyayari sa 90s. So, yan,
Mm-hmm.
lumalabas na yung pangalan ng DefTac.
Yeah.
Di
Sikat
ba?
tayo dyan.
Di ba? The Sarian,
Oo,
Pasamuan
Sarian,
Days, and
Sarian
Bakbakan
days.
International. You'd hear that
Mm-hmm.
from your cousin. I'd hear a lot of those stories from my older cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh yan, pare si, Alvin Aguilar, ganyan, ganyan. So,
Okay.
parang, uh, ever since, especially when I moved from Cebu to Manila, I've always wanted to train with DefTac. Parang, but there was no way for me to find DefTac kasi all I knew about DefTac was it was based in Parañaque.
Paranaque, yes.
I was in QC. So, hindi
Mm-hmm.
ko alam. Wala akong alam. So, I eventually did boxing and Muay Thai na lang in one of these, in a gym near Cubao. And then I saw na, uy, may jiu-jitsu. Just like everybody else, parang it started with UFC, watching the first two UFCs,
Mm-hmm.
and then may internet na, so I was able to watch a lot of the Gracie in action stuff.
Mm-hmm. Classic
And
yun ah. Gracie in
Gracie in action,
action.
I
Gracie in action.
downloaded all of it, pati yung mga Greg Kukuch and
Greg Krukuk. Yeah.
Henzo Gracie
Enzo.
videos. Wala. So I really wanted to jiu-jitsu. I knew DefTac had a program na jiu-jitsu, pero Parañaque, so malayo. And it
Mm-hmm.
was funny kasi the gym I was training at na boxing and Muay Thai, may jiu-jitsu. So sabi ko, pwede ko ba subukan? I was already watching videos. Yung coach na nagturo, I remember it clearly na tinuruan niya ako ng Americana. Pero
Mm-hmm.
basta ito yung gawin mo. Sabi ko, ano tawag dito? Hindi, basta yan yung
Basta
gawin mo.
yan. Basta yan. Yes.
Basta ganyan. So, after, hindi na ako babalik dito. Never mind. Fuck it. I'm out of here. And then through some divine providence,
Mm-hmm.
I had a gig in Capone's Valero, old school, Makati.
Grabe, Capones.
Capone's, di ba?
Oo.
And
Okay.
a very, very drunk Richard Lasprilla was there.
Australia.
uh, na tapos naka-greasy baha pa siya na t-shirt with the
Oo.
Tasmanian Devil.
Oo.
Tapos wala siyang sapatos.
Oo.
Nakapaalam siya. So I was like, it's the champ, URCC
Yeah,
champ.
yeah, yeah.
So I
It's
was
the dancing
introduced to him.
devil.
Yeah,
It's the dancing
kasi
devil.
he was a reigning champ at that time.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was introduced to him, and I was like, kwentuhan kami. And then sabi ko, I'm such a huge fan of yours. And then I've always wanted to train with DefTac. Pero putang ina, ang layo niya, nasa Parañaque kayo. Sabi ko,
Paranaque.
taga saan ka ba? Taga saan ka ba? Sabi ko, QC, sa may Teachers Village. Putang na, punta ka sa EDSA. Andun si Fritz. So I knew about Fritz because light
He was
heavyweight champ.
also fighting. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, light heavyweight champ. So parang, I was like, talaga, saan sa EDSA? So he told me about Park House.
Oh, Deftak
So,
Edsa.
DefTac
Deftak
EDSA. So that was
Edsa.
my first. So immediately the following night, I got the number, called up Fritz, and then he said just come down the gym and then check it out if it's something that you wanna do. Very next night I
Classic,
went
classic park house, no? Park
park
house.
house. And then ganito siya classic when I came into the gym. Richard was there. Richard Esprilia. Alan Co was there. He was welterweight champ. Tofi Lagan was still a blue belt. Franz
Mm.
Altareos was there. Papi Lipitan was there.
Yun.
Fritz was
Puta
there.
yung,
Carl. So all every
yung o, the
oh,
North OG boys nandun
so
ah.
I was like, wow, this is a cool gym, and I
Mm.
was eager to train, and then Fritz was like, see, Fritz naman was like, his cool self. He was like, so you want to learn jujitsu? It's like, oh yeah,
Mm.
okay, sit there, watch.
Oh.
So I was like, okay. So my first training session was I was sitting on the couch watching all of them train
Watch.
for the whole night. so so the next night pa ako
It was like,
naka-train.
it was like, alam mo, it's such a deftac thing to like even kami nun sa South. It's like that
Yeah.
was the first. Oh, you wanna do this? Okay, sit down there. Not kami
Uh,
gonna like oh, sit down there. You watch. Like talaga. Tas ang first training mo talaga is the following day, di ba? Kasi
First training
titignan.
following day. And I
So they want
remember it. I
they
remember it because
want
my first role was Tofi Ilagan.
yeah, di ba?
So
And then,
if
and then
anybody who's
afterwards,
experienced rolling with Tofi knows,
ah,
he
it's
will smash
it's a
you.
it's a valuable, heavy learning experience.
Experience. Yeah. And he was
And
blue belt pa nun, hindi the
oh,
smooth
and
black
he
belt
was
that he is now.
and this was a time na he was a competitive blue belt. He was a blue belt
Competitive. Yeah.
competing, diba? He was actively competing,
Yeah.
and that led to him leading the way for the creation of Project Lifestyle Manila na.
Yeah.
And then from there, okay, so there's just from first training, then now
And
you're a
then
brown belt, diba? Now you're a brown belt, and how was that journey? Like, how was that journey from, sabihin na natin, alisin na natin white belt years kasi white belt years, ano yan eh, sponging years mo yan eh.
yeah.
From blue belt, sige, let's segment it per belt. So, from blue belt to purple, blue to purple, given how life gets in the way, how you had to fit in, hindi nga fit in eh, you had to sneak in training, naalala ko
Yeah.
eh. Kasi you
Yeah.
had to sneak in training because of your busy schedule and we only get to see each other. It's either pag mag or CC, pag merong
Yeah.
event, or
Mm-hmm.
pag may tournament, di ba?
Uh,
Then during that time, you were so busy.
yeah.
How did how did you cope or how did you deal with? Kasi especially now, masyadong critical si blue belt. A lot of people quit at blue belt
I
because it's
wanted to
either
quit at blue belt.
why?
my, to be honest, my only goal at that time was to get to blue belt. That was it.
Okay.
That was my only goal to get to blue belt. But eventually, parang when the bug hits you, wala, it
Mm.
becomes jiu-jitsu becomes a part of you, and then parang yun na, tinuloy-tuloy ko na lang. You know what I mean? Kumbaga, all I wanted to achieve in jiu-jitsu was to be able to hang with the guys in the gym. Kumbaga, to be able to roll with them na hindi naman ako mukhang kulelat. That was it. Because a lot of the other guys like sila Raymond Varilla or sila Tofi and all the guys I rolled with, gagaling eh. So
Yeah,
parang for me lang, as long as I can just hang with them,
with them. Like give them
kasi
a hard time and then
or just
hold your
give them a
own.
challenge, give them naman na hindi naman sila hindi sila mabobore na ka-roll ako. That
Mhm.
was my only goal because for me music talaga yung una eh. So
Mhm.
all my focus talaga was my band, and then jiu-jitsu was something na I could do for myself for in terms of fitness and health na I don't have to lift weights because I hate
Mhm.
lifting weights.
Mhm.
So I can't play basketball for shit because I'm
Mhm.
short. So jiu-jitsu was the best
Uh,
alternative. Now you can actually roll, you can spar 100% without getting brain damage.
yeah, that's true. That
You know
is
what I mean?
true. That is true.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
people listening,
Yeah.
100%.
You
And
can
then
roll 100% without, pero you get broken bones. So a lot there
if you
if you
don't
do,
tap, you get injured, diba? Kasi
yeah.
yun eh. I thought this was gonna be a little bit easier now, but apparently with the popularity of jiu-jitsu and people
Yeah.
are getting to it more, na-realize sa mga tao cool na siya. the transition from white belt to blue belt was it's a lot easier. I mean, for me personally, it's a lot easier because everyone's
Now?
eager. Yeah, now.
Yeah, now, yeah.
Kasi for example, me when I teach classes like white belts to blue belts, the transition is easy kasi you just feed them, feed them, feed them. They'll accept, accept, accept. And then if they get beaten down, sasabihin, ang daling sabihin, hindi, white belt lang kasi ako eh. Diba?
Yeah.
But now, for some weird reason, once people get their blue belts, from blue belt to purple belt, it becomes a lot harder, or the challenge is there because at blue belt, you're good enough to beat white belts, but not really good enough to to challenge purple and brown belts. Yun
Yeah.
eh. So medyo kaya mataas yung mortality rate ni blue belt kasi you're at that mental state wherein akala mo magaling ka na pero turns out hindi pa pala or may kulang pa pala.
Yeah.
And for some, that was the end goal. Diba? That was the end
Yeah.
goal. So at least ikaw, you were able to segmentize training and at least ayan, you said you were doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Diba? It was your me time kumbaga.
Yeah. It was something I could do na art related, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to share it with my bandmates. You know what I mean? It was for
Exactly.
me. You know what I mean?
And then how was I mean, if we're, I mean, the more or less, yeah. I hope we could put this into context of people who are not jujitsu guys yet or jujitsu people yet. How was expressing yourself through jujitsu compared to expressing yourself through music?
I think it's related. The way I play is also the same way parang the more I've been training jiu-jitsu, parang the personality that I have also comes out in how I play. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Kumbaga how I express myself through my music, parang it kind of mirrors how I also play sa jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Kasi
So
ako,
parang yeah.
that's what I tell people. Eh. Parang you will sooner or later, if not sooner, you will express yourself in the most honest possible way. You're gonna
Yeah.
express yourself in all honesty when it comes to jujitsu. Kasi nga,
Yeah.
diba, that old jujitsu cliche na the mats don't lie
Yeah.
or diba, you're gonna expose yourself to yourself.
Sobra.
So when you do jujitsu.
Sobra.
So yun yung pinaka I mean, for me, that's by far the best definition of how to describe, or the best way I could define and describe jujitsu to people who don't understand it.
And
Diba?
it's a good
Kasi,
ego check. Jiu-jitsu is the best ego check, especially in my line of work. Na parang
mhm,
it's easy to get lost, especially if you get to a certain point in your career. Na parang sometimes you get lost in it. Na parang
mhm,
you start believing your hype, your own ano, and then it takes a toll on you sometimes. Na parang ano na kasi ikaw si ganyan ganyan ganyan.
mhm,
But when I step into that match, wala.
mhm.
You know, you're kakainin ka ng buhay ng mga teammates mo, and they're like, okay, you ain't shit, dude. You know what I mean? So it's a grounding experience. That's why I love jiu-jitsu so much, dahil it keeps you grounded, it keeps your ego in check. Na parang ito yung realidad. Yan yung hinahawakan ka, oh. What are you gonna do now?
Exactly.
Di
Oh
ba?
my God. At least, yeah, at least we get to talk about it. Kasi I mean,